Yes, huge welcome to our guest this week, Glen Vodka Championship Manager of the month for October, Mark Wilson.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
You're flying,
Thank
mate.
you. Cheers.
Delighted for you. I'm the only delighted for you, mate. Your good pal sent you a wee message as well.
Who's my good pal?
I don't know if
Which
he's your
one?
good pal, actually. Probably isn't he? You're his good pal, but I don't know if he's yours.
I don't know if you remember me, it's Gordon Dalziel, the guy who gave you the first big break in football management, but I've just heard Manager of the Month. Congratulations, never thought that would happen, but the biggest positive of that is I see it sponsored by Glen's Vodka, so we might get a wee voddy at your wedding on the house. Anyway, enjoy the first one, because I can only tell you, after my third or my fourth it starts to get a bit boring, but don't worry about that. Listen, congratulations, brilliant achievement for you, keep it going, but the one thing I've always said is, your seat's warm beside me in the Superscoreboard studio. I've got you back by Christmas. I'll look forward to seeing you. But until then, stick in. All the very best to you. Cheers, mate.
Where is he in an old folks home in that chair? By the way, is that the infamous
That's the famous recliner. Stains out,
I was going to say, what is he covering up with that? Seen him in action at that thing's seen.
Oh,
incredible.
Mate. I need to put something to bed, mate, because he came in and he's like, Willow wanted me to go and be his assistant, but just...
Aye. Aye, I said to him, I wanted him to come in.
Right? You thought it was just one of his lines?
No. Listen, see, we have a laugh and a joke, don't we, with Daz, and he's brilliant in front of the camera, in front of the mic and all that. But see, in terms of his football knowledge and that, I worked brilliantly with him at Airdrie, and he was in that sporting director role. Spent a lot of time in the cafe, so he did just drinking soup and speaking to the woman behind the counter. But he was great how he took the pressure off. He's right, by the way. He did give me my first shot at it. But I know,
look how much better you're doing without him. Is that not a coincidence?
I know. No, it's not a coincidence.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's not a coincidence.
It's not a coincidence.
But you did say to me, like in the gym when I met you, he was amazing and for you at Airdrie, didn't you?
He was brilliant, by the way. It's just, I mean, just in terms of his relationship with people, because I see. You know what it's like. Probably a good chunk of coaching is your relationship with the group in it, and especially your staff with the group. So your staff have got, or your players have got to buy into the staff, and they've got to relate to them, and there's got to be that buffer. And he was great at that. But Alex is obviously in there, and he's just different class. The boys love him.
We need to ask you the opposite of that, but you know it's a part of the show. Anything that's annoyed you since you've not been on Open Goal? So a pet peeve you got any in there?
Pet peeve,
football wise or outside the football?
Outside the football.
The guy stole your seat at Wimbledon, was it? Or you were at a bar with your missus, you went for a drink and the big guy came and stole your seat?
That's right, aye, that did piss me off that day.
Anything with the wedding coming up or anything?
By the way, the day I was at the registry office, this did annoy me the day, right? It's unbelievable. So I had to go down to the city chambers today. You have to register your marriage certificate thing. So you have to book an appointment to the city chambers.
Right.
So mine was 9:10. I'm standing out there at 9 o'clock and the door's open. That's opening time. So I'm 10 minutes early. And the wee woman came out like a bouncer. And there was a rope. But mate, there's nobody else in George Square. And she's like, have you got an appointment? And I'm looking about going, well, of course we've got, aye. And she went, what time's your appointment? I said, 9:10. She went, right, okay, you need to wait for a minute. I said, right, okay. And then she says, right, you're allowed to go in. Now, a wee old woman had came behind me.
Right.
And standing, the wee old woman was about 70-year-old. I don't know what she's going in for, maybe to register a death or something like that. And she stands and she goes to me, on you go. And there's a blue rope, like a nightclub rope. And she says to me, you need to step over that to get in. And I'm going, surely it's your job to lift that, mate. I was like, honestly. And I had to step over the rope. And for about 15 minutes, I know that's mundane. I was thinking,
good one.
What's the world coming to?
I've never heard anything like that.
And the poor old woman, 70-year-old woman's getting the same treatment as me, and I'm thinking she's going to have to step over that rope.
Well, my pet peeve is it's nice you were 10 minutes early for that and fucking 20 minutes late for me. I see what's more fucking
important. About 2 hours, mate. I was doing wedding admin, sorry, man.
Just quickly on the wedding, who's any big names going? Any people for the football?
Well, I've got some of my staff here. Alex is gone. We've got your man there on the recliner and his new missus, which will be great.
Gorgeous, isn't he? Done really well. She is gorgeous. She was just in the
because he's got no cash, and I don't know where the connections came from, but she's lovely. Gordon Dalziel, the old Superscoreboard team.
He's a page boy, Gordon Duncan's page boy, you
said. He's throwing petals as we go down the aisle. Jim Goodwin. Jim's coming along.
Why is that? Why Jim Goodwin?
Been pals with Jim for a long, long time.
Where does that come from?
Peeves were next door neighbours for about 15 years.
Right.
Aye, and by the way, Peeves started our managerial careers at the same time. I went to Airdrie, he went to Alwa. Kind of took different trajectories, didn't we? He ended up going up the way I ended up at the game. On open goal and on Superscoreboard. And he ended up by going one way, but always stayed pals. He only stays down the road from me. So he's gone, I think that's about it. Right. I don't carry many mates in.
Nobody from Celtic does, nah?
Nah. I dropped all them.
Dropped him.
Unless I need loan players, I'm on the phone to them.
You've got a few, haven't you? You've got a few. You must be delighted with the progress, mate, in October, putting your side right back up there in the hunt for the top spot with St Johnstone. Is that still the aim to catch St Johnstone?
I think so. I think it was everybody's aim, wasn't it, when the league started and we got them first out the box, and we took a sore one that day. So I think we could see what the level was going to be like. I looked at it that day and I didn't think it was a one-off for them. Thought it was maybe a one-off for us that we fell below our level. But, we followed it up here with a draw against Morton and everybody's fearing the worst from the outside. But I think in the inside, we were all pretty certain of how we wanted to play and the boys were buying into it. It was just a couple of disappointing performances. And the players got us back on track and there's been some top performances since then. But St Johnstone have kept that consistency. You'll know yourself, in any league, it's the most consistent team that will come out on top. They've certainly been that over the first quarter, but we're right there with them. And credit to our players for, had a couple of wee bumps in the road, but overall, the level of consistency has been good. Was
there any panic early on with the first defeat and then the draw after it? Or was it, for you and also for above, was there any sort of alarm bells ringing?
Not for me, certainly not for me.
I met you in the gym after the set in the Morton game, didn't
That's right,
and you were quite calm about it, to be honest.
And I think I'm pretty calm about most things. I think it'd be more alarming, see, if we went into that St Johnstone game. And I know we took a battering in terms of the scoreline, but we went one up when we created chances, and you come in at half time, you're 3-1 down, and you're going, how did that happen? And then you lose one right after half time, and all of a sudden the game takes a different picture. But there was still some stuff in that game that I could pick and go, that was pretty good. Morton here, we go behind and we get back in the game, and we should have won the game. So say if it was a different performance, I probably would have thought, what's going on here? I think we had a wee bit of goodwill in the tank because of how we started the Premier Sports Cup and going to Dingwall and that and good results. But as always, you get people in the club that just see that and think, I think need to change. You can't play that way. You can't be so open, or you can't, play with our wingers like that, and we need to go back and be more direct. And
did you say to them, I'm not changing, I'm going to stick with this?
Well, I said to them...
Did you just go that, yeah, I'll definitely...
No, I said, well, he's one, nobody was complaining a few weeks ago when we were scoring goals and creating bags of chances, and I think it's just getting a message across that, sometimes things won't go your way all the time, and you come up against a good team who are really on it on that occasion. You might take a sore one, but I think I'm okay with that when you're trying to build a new, identity about the squad, that it's never going to be perfect right away. It's going to take time. And I think over the weeks, we've got stronger. We certainly look a stronger unit, and we've been better defensively. There's still a lot more to come, a lot more work to be done in the training pitch, but I think everybody's got to buy into it. I don't think you can flip-flop from one week to the other and start chasing certain things you've done wrong in the game. Otherwise, where do you stop with that? You know what I mean? One week you don't score a goal, so you work on shooting all week. The next week you concede too many, so you're working your back four. I think if you're just reactive like that, you'll end up in trouble. And probably I've learned from that, I think, from my first few stints as a head coach.
So what did you do in your first few stints that you've
probably that? Probably that.
Focused on one certain thing?
With Airdrie and Brechin, I was told different things, but I went in at the same time. I never got an opportunity to go in pre-season. I went in probably the September, October, I think, in both clubs. So I was dealing with what had went on in the summer. Managers had lost their jobs and I'd come in and I was dealing with what was there, and I had a game probably in 3 days. So I never got a chance to probably put in the foundations like we all do in pre-season. This is the way we want to play. We might fall back to this default shape or positions, and these are our principles, and you work in it and you hammer it down. I never got that at other clubs, so I was probably chasing result to result, and something wasn't right, so you try to fix one area one week and it just didn't work. But with Thistle here, I was lucky enough that I got the job at the start of June. I was ready to go. I spent a lot of time prepping with my backroom team, my sports scientists. So on day one in pre-season, we knew what we were doing, and every day was filled, every day was tailored for a specific reason. And I think I played out on the pitch. And you never know how it's going to translate, do you? You hope. is going to play it in terms of the opposition that come up against you. And the pre-season friendlies were decent enough picked of building towards the Edinburgh City game, but you know, there's that level of nerves and suspense and anxiety when you go in and play Edinburgh City away, bit of banana skin.
How are the nerves differently to an assistant manager? Much heightened?
Because everything falls on you.
Yeah.
I mean, it is your ideas, and you say to the assistant manager, this is my vision. Now, the assistant manager or assistant coach or whatever will give you their opinion. It's up to you to, you know, take what you want, take it or leave it. But I was pleased, you know, it always helps when you get a good start, and we get a good start that night. But I think that breeds confidence into the players, so the players then sort of start to buy into it, and it puts you in a good place. And it's carried on along those kind of lines until now. And again, I look back in this first kind of quarter. Of course, we've had a couple of defeats in there, one heavy one against St Johnstone, one away to Raith Rovers. And the Raith Rovers one was a funny one. It was actually, again, I wasn't too... I was bothered that we lost the game, but within that we had a lot of control and stuff, and we lost two poor goals. So I could take things good for the game and show them, analyse it and show the guys it and say, this is what we did good, we just need to tidy up. So I think if you've got that picture, you're all right even when you lose games. It's when you, I think when you analyse games and you go, we've done a million things wrong. Aye, you're in trouble.
Yeah. I know you said alarm bells when they're ringing, but see, after that 5-1, was there any thoughts of why if I went back into this? Or none at all? Were you enjoying it?
I think, see, when it went, the fifth goal,
on the side,
and I'm standing there and I look at the clock and it's like 60 odd minutes, and I was thinking, geez, bear in mind, I think one of my last times was at Brechin. I was on the touchline, I took a 7 off St Johnstone in the cup. So I was thinking, Jesus, what's coming here? And to be fair, the players dug in, because at that point, you know what it's like, man. I've played in games like that, and everything's just gone wrong. You seem so open, players are out of position, and you're just, I think if you concede another few, it's on the old video printer and brackets in it, the actual written score, you don't want one of those.
It's a mean minute. How were you that night?
I was alright. Actually, you know what? Unprofessional as it is, I had a party I had to go to that night, so it was maybe the best thing. A mate of mine's...
Have you got better at that as well? Kind of for parking the result?
Forgetting it, I don't think I've ever been one of the coaches that go home and
overanalyse
and shut themselves in a room and don't speak to the family. Alex is probably slightly different. I think he openly admits that. He's proper locked in if there's a bad result. No doubt about it. I was analysing.
Must have had a fucking terrible year last year. Must have spoke to his wife for a full year, for fuck's sake. Poor woman, man.
His missus was out in the house in Portugal for the full year. Didn't see the kids or that. Poor dog. You know. But I've never really been like that. I think probably the day after it gets you, but I think the night of the game, maybe in the immediate aftermath when I'm sitting in the office and disappointing results here. I think the game against Morton, when we drew here, the second game in, probably, I know we should have won it, but you're then thinking, you know, that's an opportunity lost, and you sit in that office and think, but as soon as I go away, what's the point in taking it home with you? You know what I mean? Because you're poor family. They've not seen you all week, and you spend that much time, and the missus is there and the kids, and they're wanting to do something with you, and if you go and make your face tripping you, man, you don't get anywhere, do you?
Nah, you don't. The last time I saw you, obviously we're filming A Day in the Life, you were assistant manager. If I'd have said to you then, you'd be the manager now, like, was that in your thoughts at all last year when you were assistant manager under Brian? Getting back into management at any point?
Well, I think the way it went is that, you know, the two of us were put in charge. It was kind of joint in charge, and I know Brian took the kind of lead on that, and probably so he should have. He was here, he was captain, he knew everything that went on in that dressing room, and we worked well. So I think because of the level of involvement I had, you know, in terms of the training, in terms of the tactics and stuff like that, it was a kind of joined up role. I wasn't like there was any one of us that were out in front of that, and the decisions on the side. I think Brian made that pretty clear, what was happening in the game. You know, I had to make those decisions, so that made it a lot easier. I think that gave me the taste for it even more. Being involved with the youth here, I loved that, because I think I said to you before, maybe in that occasion, probably learned a lot from my mistakes. You know, when I was at Airdrie, when I was at Brechin, and like I was saying to you there, I was chasing results, and I was chopping and changing training sessions just to get a specific thing for that week. I think with under 18s, it allowed me to form a fuller picture. So when I came in, of course, it was interim with Brian. Of course, we were trying to make the playoffs, but I think we still try to implant how we were going to play in the remaining, 12 weeks or something like that. So it gave me a fair idea. If Brian did get in and I was to come in and help him again, then I would have taken a similar approach, and I think Brian probably would have been happy along that side in terms of me coaching, because he still carried the can of playing. So when it didn't happen for Brian, and then,
when do you hear, well, it doesn't happen for Brian? Is it Brian that tells you?
Aye, we were in touch all through it, because I was well aware I was part of his journey as well.
And there's also a worry for you when he doesn't take it that you could be done here.
Probably a wee bit, just the way it worked. So Brian was out there to be the manager, and he was interviewed. I wasn't interviewed, and that was the sporting director's, outlook and things. He'd been here, and he saw that Brian was going for an interview along with, I think, 3 or 4 others. At that time, maybe it was just assumed I would come in with Brian, but nothing was put to me. In fact, I was playing golf with Daz in St Andrews, and it was the day Brian called me and he says, I don't think this is going well for me, and I don't think I'm going to take the job. By the time I got back down from St Andrews to Glasgow, Brian phoned me and says it's not for me, and certain things weren't sitting right with him, and he chose not to take it. And I said, that's fine. At that time I thought I was happy to go back to the under.
Is that what you thought would happen? You just go down to under 18?
I just naturally thought it would happen, because anybody else was coming in. If it wasn't going to be Brian, there was other managers named. I didn't think they would look to take me as an assistant, but I had my job within the academy, so I was happy with that. And things happened really quickly. Within a few hours, the club contacted me and said, look, can you come in tomorrow? And I had to go through the process like anybody else did. This was 10 o'clock at night.
So can I ask you on this, when they said, can you come in tomorrow to interview for the job?
Aye.
And then what do you do that night? Do you prep? What's your prep like?
I was in my bed, mate. I'm an early bedder. I've probably told you that.
So
I was in my bed when I took the call.
Riding, weren't you?
What's that?
You were riding.
Aye, that was a problem.
He's 2 minutes
I was thinking that. Aye, I was thinking that. She wasn't impressed.
So do you need to go do a presentation, or do you just think I'll just turn up and sort of have a chat?
I just turned up. I think
nervous.
I think there's always that kind of a wee bit of anxiety when you're getting into any interview. I think that was probably what keeps you sharp and keeps you focused. I didn't present a PowerPoint. Everybody wants a PowerPoint presentation now, don't they? I kind of outlined my vision and what I had for the club, but I'd already had that in my mind if I ever got back in and through what I was doing with under 18s, the way I wanted to play, the way I wanted to progress the young players here. I think having the kind of body of work in those 12 or 13 games before alongside Brian, where we gave some of those kids their debuts and big games, obviously served well. And when I went in, like when you're sitting around a board table and you've got the sporting director and you've got the general manager and you've got the chairman in front of you, you know you're going to come up against some tough questions, but I answered them as honestly and as detailed as I could. And again, it was great. I thought it went well. And I went home, and after that, it happened really quickly. Probably in the matter of a day, I was told I was successful and I was ready to go. Wow.
And there's no hesitation for you in taking it now?
No, of course not. Because
like obviously Superscoreboard and all the things that you had with under 18s, but there was no hesitation. It was none
at all. I think I was lucky enough. Craig Dargo asked me to come in with the academy, and at that time I was working with Andy Robertson's charity, and I was enjoying my work with the charity, but always wanted to get back involved in the real match day stuff. So incredibly fortunate to come into that environment, and I guess, if I'm being totally honest, probably right place at the right time. But getting back on the pitch and that, it gave you a taste. You saw the first team, you wondered how could we get better, even though I wasn't in the job, or how could I relate these young players to what the first team were doing, and how could I push some of them. And then you get in with the first team, you know yourself, the standard goes right up. It's much more tuned to what we were used to working in, so you enjoy that. You then go up against Davy Martindale's and John McGlynn's and stuff like that, and you get a taste of winning against them. You think, well, you know, my ideas have actually worked here. Yeah. So of course, when I get asked, I thought, no, there wasn't any hesitation. Paired with the fact that Partick Thistle is such a huge club in this country, you know, with such great tradition. and a fantastic fan base, you then start thinking, I'm incredibly fortunate to be offered this opportunity, because I know there's a long list that could have come in here and taken this job, and I know there was a long list. I wanted it, so I was never going to knock that back. But again, then you understand what the outside think of the appointment. And
that bother you?
It didn't bother me, but look, with your phone and social media and that, because I was on Superscoreboard and you know, I'd done bits and pieces with you guys, it's always good to keep abreast of things, if that's on Twitter or things like that, and just a news feed. But as soon as I got the job, I was well aware probably what was coming, and I didn't need to see negativity. I already knew, but that's fine. I was comfortable with that. But what I didn't need to do was keep, you know, getting reminded of it if it was popping up on my phone. So I just deleted the app, which was the best thing. Best thing I've done, because I don't get involved in any of that kind of stuff now.
You're still putting Thomas pics up on Insta. Close friends story, what's that?
Me and Daz together.
Alex Rae.
So that was the best thing, mate, getting after that.
Do you then need to phone Brian as well, mate?
No, Brian phoned me right away. Brian phoned me as soon as I first got the interview, and he says, you know, you certainly deserve it, mate, and I wish you all the best. Okay. And he phoned me right away when I got the job and wished me all the best. And Brian and I are still in touch just now. And the big man's doing great where he is just now in the Premiership. So we've got a good relationship. But look, at that time, Brian's a hero at the club, and obviously he still is a hero at the club. So I knew the outlook. But that's what I say to you, it was important that we got a good start, because if you don't get a good start in that situation, then you're fighting it, man.
Do you mind telling me what your idea of how a Partick Thistle team looked like when you went into that interview? And what was that based on? For what you seen the season before, the things that you seen that you'd maybe do differently?
I was probably concerned that just seeing the team and how we'd played, there wasn't enough entries into the final third. There wasn't enough forward runners. The way I seen it, or the way my teams were set up, we probably didn't have the width that I would like to play with. But we had the players probably, or we needed one or two refreshed. And I think when you talk about runners from midfield areas, you need mobility in the team. And that kind of naturally shaped when Brian left, and Stuart Bannigan left, and I wanted to keep Manzo here. I think he's a great competitor at this level, and it just didn't work out. And some things were taken out of my hands. But allowed opportunities for other players to come in, and we kind of refreshed the teams. I had a fair idea of how I wanted the fullbacks to play in relation to the wide guys. So we started to compile what I thought was probably a more mobile team, a more attack-minded team, and that was up to me to put those ideas into place in pre-season. We did a lot of 10v10 games for day one, and we just ran them a lot and stopped and started it, and to the point the players were maybe getting bored there. You know, we did a lot of kind of physical stuff in the morning and spent a lot of the afternoon just running through, 10v10 stuff, and we got the basic principles and ideas across. And then, like I say, when you go into competitive stuff, when it starts yielding better chances, a better possession percentage, more entries into the box and stuff like that, then showing that to the players was important to me. So capturing it and showing it. And, some of the advice I got through the summer, and my mate, I was telling you about Jim Goodwin, I sat down with Jim and just asked him, a guy who'd come out of this division, how he won it, picking their brains, not stealing their ideas, but picking their brains and just, getting an idea of how they run at the elite level. John Kennedy was another one I sat with. And again,
when you're sitting with John Kennedy and Jim Goodwin, well, is it the style of play that you're talking about, or how to be with players, or what is it, everything? Everything, mate. Because I'd be foolish not to do that. So my first time round, and I saw your thing with Dale here a couple of weeks ago, so I chose when I think it was Airdrie, I'd just come out of Airdrie. I went just around training grounds, like you probably have done as well, and asked Dale if I could go up to Aberdeen. They took me in for a good few days and just sitting with him, learning from him. Jim McIntyre and guys like that were the same guys I'd played with. So when I see the success that Jim Goodwin has and John Kennedy and the levels that they've been at, I just asked them, look, can we just chat about things? And you end up sitting there for 2 and 3 hours just chatting about everything and how best they approach things and
if there was anything I could take. Of course, there was loads I could take. And a lot of that came through that was analysis of stuff. So I'd probably not done a lot of analysis, or when I was doing video analysis as a head coach, it was snapshots. I never had enough time, probably at Brechin or Airdrie or the resource. Part-time, and you're in it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what they highlighted was in the early part of the season, and even in training, just capturing it and showing certain things, and always videoing things and picking the good things and reinforcing them. And we've certainly done that this year, mixed with data. I'm no like mad on data, but if there's things to be pointed out, the good and the bad, I'll certainly show the players, and I think they've taken it on board. They're seeing a different side. The game's driven a lot by data and analysts now, so you need to use that to your advantage. And I think we've used it in the right kind of balance. It's not, we're not sitting in there in analysis for an hour or anything like that. In fact, we did do 1 hour's one, and the players actually said to me, geez, that was a long stint. It was a game we won out here against Ross County as well, and it was the lowest possession that we'd had.
It's a great message, so isn't it, to show it then when you've won?
We just we didn't have the ball enough. Look, we won the game, but you could clearly see with all the metrics, our pressing intensity was way down and stuff like that. So we showed them, and then showed the comparison when we were better the next week. And I think players appreciate that now. A wee bit of detail, rather than just throwing 5-a-sides at them and rondo boxes. Because that's the game now. So.
But that's what you would have got as a player, isn't it? So again, where is this sort of style of play came from? Because I've seen your fullbacks inverting against Airdrie as well.
Aye.
Again, is that just watching like a Celtic team, or is that purely through speaking? There's no speaking through Jim Goodwin and John Kennedy that you came up with that, is it?
No, but
is that under 18s again, like trying things with under 18s?
Well, under 18s I tried it, aye, and I think that's harder with under 18s because
they
don't take it on as quick, so you need to keep reinforcing it, but you need to tell them why they're getting in there and understand. So it helped me understand it, because you see it playing out in front of you, not just Celtic, you see Man City and all that doing it, and all the other teams doing it. I don't know, I guess probably like you look and you think, well, why are they doing that? Why are they getting in there? And I start to think, if I was a right back, would I have liked that? I probably would have, because I started as a midfielder, and then I get the picture why you would do it, and obviously shifting the ball to your wide guys as quick as possible. And so it was difficult to coach at 18s, and we weren't the finished article, but they started to get the ideas when it came to then the first team level. I don't think every fullback's attuned to doing that at all, but I think if you...
That suits certain players' characteristics.
Certain players, and certainly when we brought Paddy Redden in, and obviously Ben McPherson's certainly done it in his Celtic days, and Cammy Logan is probably in the position that we've got just now. It certainly feeds into the certain style that we want at this minute, and it's working just now. It's not to say that will be the style to finish the season or the way we play, but it's certainly been how I wanted to start, and we're getting better at it every week.
And then just on coaching it, obviously the last time I came in, you took all the coaching. Brian joined in the session and you coached the majority of the game. How is that working now as a manager? Are you still doing all the coaching, or do you take a step back at times and let Alex take things?
No, pretty much the same. Look, Alex is brilliant at the individual stuff. Stuff like I certainly didn't get coached enough on when I was a young player coming through, even when I was first team games, those individualised sessions where you're taking away guys like Ben Stanley and really giving them detail about in and around the box and how to control and finish, and it's amazing. See when you see it playing out.
And you've seen Alex working on that with him?
Well, you see it literally 24 hours before.
Amazing.
When him and Stanley go and work on the pitch. And I think it was up at Ross County, up at Dingwall, and I think Stanners was a sub, but he comes on and the ball breaks to him at the edge of the box, and it's a control finish into the bottom corner, and you go, I've seen that, Alex and him. But it's the detail and how he hits it and how he strikes it. And Alex, I probably can't coach that, because Alex scored, I don't know, well, loads of goals. He's always quick to remind us in the Premiership in England, isn't he? But he's magnificent at that, and especially with the forward players. I'll probably take the majority of the full session and what we're trying to get to. And I think the balance is great. In terms of motivation and stuff like that, Alex, as you can imagine, is that fiery character that's, do or die, when I'm probably more quiet on the touchline and stuff. So it's a great balance.
Great. I wanted to ask you about working with a sporting director.
Aye.
How were you quite keen to do that, or was that maybe something that gave you a wee bit of hesitation about taking the job, or do you think that's how you need to be now as a modern manager?
I was pretty happy with it. I think I was maybe a big part of why I was presented with the job, because I'd worked with a sporting director, the Dazzler, at Airdrie. And all joking aside, I loved that side of it. I loved the side that I could coach, I could make decisions about the team and match day. However, when it came to the nitty gritty and negotiating players' contracts and all that, rubbish stuff that I must admit I wouldn't be any good at. I mean,
you just give them what they want.
I would just give them what they want, because I want everybody to earn as much money as they can. You know what I mean? I would bankrupt this club in about 3 months. So to have that structure, I'm happy working under that, and I think it alleviates a lot of the pressure for a head coach. And then can you just give us a wee insight of how that works? Because obviously recruitment's such a massive thing for a manager, isn't it? You've got a style of play that. How do you and Ian Barraclough come up with like players to fit that style? Is it him that identifies and then he comes to you, or do you get to say, I quite like that player, and then he gets a wee say on it? How does that work? So it's a joined up effort, as you can imagine, but pretty simple. That at the start of the season when I got the job, when I'm down in the office, it just says, who's playing for Celtic B? Who's doing decent just now? We'll take all of them. A profile, I put it the formation that I wanted to play. I put a profile of every player that I wanted in that position, certain characteristics, 5 or 6, and set it into formation and presented it obviously to Ian and our head of recruitment, and we were off and running. And some players came, just fell into your lap, and we were fortunate enough that they fitted those characteristics. Some we've had to take a wee bit of time getting in, but I think we've compiled a good group. So obviously when it gets down to the nitty gritty, I'll make the contact obviously with the player, because you need to form that relationship, and once it gets down to the contract situation and negotiating for the club and getting it over the line, obviously Ian and our head of recruitment take that over. You've went quite young with your recruitment, am I right in saying it? Aye. I mean, again, when you look at Partick Thistle through the years, it was an aging squad. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that, because it brings experience, and Brian's goals and Banzo, and we had David Mitchell as well, right through the spine of the team. But all, mid to late 30s, we had to reduce that. And I think everybody saw a kind of style. When you come through the 18s, you naturally want to promote young players in. So we've got a young group in, 5 or 6 apprentices at the bottom end of our squad. But even the guys we brought in, run about the 21, 22 mark, and it makes for a hungry squad, because the players you bring in, I was realistic with them all, and I think our fans are realistic. We all love being here at Partick Thistle. The players love playing for them. But if you're honest, the goal is to get up as high up the ladder as you can. Yeah. And I think those players coming in at that age, they're hungry to perform well for the club, but move up the levels, and the only way they're going to move up the levels is by performing for the club. So it works well, and I think you can see that playing out in the pitch. Who's been good in terms of new players? I love Sinello in the middle of the pitch. Sinello's amazing. Celtic B was the best player, I thought, when we played Celtic B. So Sinello was an interesting one when Ian had put it to me. He'd been contacted by Sinello's agent, and he was coming back from Belgium, and I phoned Steve McInnes about him, and I said, look, Sinello's coming back, what do you think of him? Now Mick loved him, absolutely loved him, gave him a glowing report, and we took him in, and day one in training, we said to him to be in for, we said come in for 9 o'clock to meet us, and 8:15, I'm an early meeting, that's when in 8:15, he knocks the door, and he comes, and I'm not joking, he'll just lit up the room. So he walks out, and Alex is going, wow, what about that guy's personality? Now, we hadn't seen him then on the pitch or much of what he was going to, and as soon as he started playing, and his mobility and how he just enjoyed the game, like, wow, this kid's pretty special. So he's great, and Alex getting 1-on-1 with him as well, in terms of his goals and the areas he's getting into in this team. That's something he's going to get better and better at. But again, fortunate that just landed at the right time, fitted our profile, and he performs well. He's buying into what we're asking, and I think he's enjoying it. So he's been top class. But guys like Paddy Redden, who been at the Championship for a long time and maybe just needed a different challenge, a different way of playing maybe. So Paddy's one that's comfortable at left back coming in the pitch, and you know, he's been a real find for us and real consistency. But how, you know, Tony Watt at the top end of the pitch, man. Tony's
some of his touches against Airdrie first half were really good.
So Tony, man, hugely experienced, and I played with Tony when he was a kid, just very briefly.
Yeah.
And
what was that relationship like with you two back then?
Well, it was just starting out. It was only probably a couple of weeks before I got punted and Tony was in, and he was just, you could see there was a wee bit of edge towards him as a kid.
Yeah.
And then you hear all the stories I'd left, and you hear all the stories of how things happened. But then we got the opportunity, and we really pursued him. You know. Again,
is that Barraclough that brings Tony Watt to you? And so what about Tony Watt, or do you go to him?
No, Tony was one that was kind of
stood beside Fairhill.
But look, as you guess with Tony, there's a lot more things that go into bring a player, his stature and his experience to the club. And of course, then I need to go and meet him, because I've not seen Tony for a long time. So I meet him at Pret a Manger and at the Fort,
right?
And we sit down and we're there for about an hour and a half, and you know, he's infectious, isn't he, Tony? He's a character. It's just full on. So so we got things the other line. He's and his agent's snoddy, and
it's not Snoddy's agent. I know when Snoddy was his agent, right?
So you can imagine, man. That's I was uninterested. That was one time I was fortunate to get a sporting director, so I could just turn off my phone, say contact Ian, man, busting their heads. But we got him here, and he's been brilliant for the dressing room, by the way.
Yeah, good boy.
Because the dressing room was key in it.
Yeah,
to try and get that right mix. And Tony, within a day, had everybody playing Wolf. You ever heard of that?
Yeah, and Motherwell, Andy told us the Motherwell boys done it.
I'd never heard of it.
No, never done.
And I thought something was up in the changing room, and I went, this was a couple of days for Tony arriving, and you usually can hear the changing room and the door's open. The door was shut, and no, that way you think, is this crisis moment already? They have a meeting about how shite the training is. So I went in and everybody was quiet, and Tony's just standing up and he just looks at me. I says, what the fuck's going on here? What's happening here? He says, we're playing Wolf. I said, what the fuck's Wolf? He says, you seen Traitors? I said, I love Traitors. And you've got everybody, boys that have just come in the club buying into this. And every...
So what is it again? They told
so it's like Traitors. You know the programme Traitors? Shut up, you never watched Traitors?
No, I watched it now.
Mate, everybody watches Traitors. Just watch Traitors.
I've no time to watch.
What do you mean you've no time to watch Traitors?
I don't even, I've not got a telly in my house. I've just moved into a house, so
you've not got a telly in your house?
I don't want to go in it.
Wait, what do you do in your house then, when you go in?
Oh, you don't want to know. You can imagine. So what is Wolf, sorry?
And I think they play it with playing cards, and you're trying to find there's maybe 3 or 4 traitors in amongst the group that only one person knows, and they're all trying to bluff their way through, and you eliminate people as you go. So it ends up competitive.
God, but every team meeting changed, mate. Dressing room used to be boys stepping each other's asses and that.
I know. Man, the PFA come up for a meeting one time and they had to wait 20 minutes just while the players are finishing this game of Wolf. They're just standing, going, what's going on? I said, mate, I can't control them. So Tony introduced that, and the team spirit's still an important thing, because I think you can see it on the pitch how it plays out as well. Yeah.
And also on recruitment, we've spoken about him, Alex Rae. Was he your first thought as soon as you got the job to be an assistant manager?
So Alex was somebody that was in my mind, and you know, it just kind of presented to me the thought of it, and then I thought it was a long shot, to be fair, with Alex. Obviously just came out of Philippe Clement's backroom team, but Alex and I have had a good relationship for years, working on Superscoreboard, and we got involved with Ladbrokes, and we were doing a few bits and pieces.
Remember it?
We were doing like, we came a long way through then. We were doing like, what's that, wakeboarding challenges and baking cakes and all that. You can tell it was, by the way, it was well paid. But I'll do it again, see if Ladbrokes are watching. So it was great, man, and we built a good bond then, and obviously he just came out. So I didn't know how he was feeling. I picked up the phone. I think he was cutting his hedge just now.
Is that his pubes?
It's the only place he's got here, mate. And he says, where I'm cutting my hedge just now. And I was sitting out there, sitting outside the front when I phoned him. And he says, aye, okay. Just right away. He says, aye, okay. I thought, geez, I didn't think to be fair, I didn't ask what the contract was or anything like that.
He's got a few quid.
He's got a few pay-ups in his time, hasn't he?
Uh-huh.
Man, hanging about with Paul Ince and Clement. He's
Yeah.
loaded. So he came in, and it was only after we sat in the office and I told him we'd only had about, at that time, what we had? Maybe about 10 players, 11 players. And he was like, wow, there's a lot of work to be done here. But he's went into it, you know, two-footed like he does with everything. Such an infectious personality. Just somebody that you need in there in the place, just to liven things up. He's so lively. So even when I'm not, you know, bubbly in the morning, he's got that, you know, personality, goes and gets the dressing room going. But the most important thing is the detail he brings to it.
Is he better than what you thought he'd be? Well, did you expect?
Well, no,
he worked at some top clubs, hasn't
I
he?
was going to say I expected him to be that way. See, when he's been a manager in his own right and he's been successful in his own right, and then I think he chose to go and be an assistant, and obviously the clubs that he's been at, then you don't get to that level, mate, if you don't know your way about a football team. So he understands what needs to go into a squad, but the structure behind it as well. So again, I'm still learning. So again, I'd be stupid not to bring in a guy that I can learn from, and I'm learning every day.
He's still. I've never seen somebody spit like that in my life.
He's got a lot of saliva, man. Yes, aye.
Why has his mouth got so much saliva? I need to ask him.
I don't know.
I was wanting to ask you, did you speak to Strachan before you took it?
Not before I took it, no. I spoke to him before a couple of jobs, and he gave me some good advice on that and how to manage things, but I didn't end too well, did I? I ended up getting the bump. But I spoke to him out here. We played Dundee. He was brilliant, man. He came up and we were playing the last international break. We had a bounce game here. But he's just infectious, isn't he?
Yeah.
Learned so much from him and how to manage a dressing room, and the best thing with Strachan was his pre-match kind of speeches. They were always the ones that would actually get you. And
do you think that's important? Did you think that was important as what I just said before again?
Aye.
Ask Ellis as well, McInnes.
I think so. And look, if you ask any of the players, they probably he talks a lot of nonsense. But I always probably try and have the detail of what we're going for in the game, but maybe relate it to what's run about us at the time, or the position we're in. Or one thing with Strachan was always who was coming to watch the game, or who you were representing personally. That always got me.
As in the fans?
As in the fans, but more your family.
Family.
Aye. I mean, Gordon was big in that. He was good when it was going, you know, when it wasn't going well, or you had a few bad results at Celtic. He was good at pointing out that although you're representing the club and the fans and they're always there, it's your family really that are what matters most. And if you're going out there, you're representing them and you want to make them proud and all that stuff. And that kind of really resonated with me. So maybe I touch on some of that sometimes, but I think it is important. And especially probably the final message. I know you've done a lot, your prep and the ideas are all there, but just giving them a final reminder of what you're getting into here, or who you're going up against, or whatever. I think that is important.
Any other Euro managers use any of their stuff?
Look, Dale, funny enough, Dale, I was saying to somebody the other day, man, Dale was one of the best I worked under. And I went shite for him at Bristol City. And I've said this before, man, I was awful. I was awful as a player for him. I was struggling to deal with leaving Celtic and, you know, carrying injuries, and he gave me a really good contract there, and I just didn't perform. And he didn't play me a lot, but I still liked him. You know, he still had a way of just making you like him, and I think everybody was the same. And that's difficult to do as a manager.
Yeah.
You know, even when you've got guys who are frozen out and pissed off at times, to still have that relationship and take the time to speak to them. I think I've taken that for Dale, and his training was good and it was always enjoyable. So when I wasn't playing, I wasn't coming in saying I'm dreading this. So you take that for him. But obviously guys like Lenny and Gordon and stuff like that were influential. Lenny just with that fire in his belly and stuff like that. I'm probably different, but again, Alex is maybe.
Have you cracked yet? Have you went mad yet?
Nah, not really. I think last week after Airdrie, I
thought Airdrie were quite good for it. I thought Airdrie were good.
No, they were, by the way. And I thought, see, when I watched the game back, I thought we were better than what I said to the guys after the game. I think you have to be honest with that. So I told them then when we did the analysis on the Monday, maybe I was a wee bit harsh on us. because I didn't think we played particularly well, but you've got to give credit sometimes to the opposition. So I just said, look, we were lucky to get away with things there, and we don't want to be lucky and things like that. But never really cracked so far. I think there's always a point, you know, if the players are carrying out what they think are their own ideas and it's not feeding into what the team principles are, then I think managers or coaches are entitled to have a real pot. But I've never seen the need so far, and I hope it continues.
You mentioned him, Lenny. You beat him 2-0 early in the season. How was he with you before the game, during the game, and after it?
Mate, it was fine. Listen, didn't see him for long before the game. He just came up, gave me a handshake and a big hug, and he was all right. And after that, he was pretty quick away. It was his post-match comments, and then you see it.
What did he say?
Well, we were 2-0 up and probably should have been 3 or 4 at half time, and he says that they dominated and how they should have had a penalty, and they couldn't, along the lines, I'm paraphrasing here, they couldn't believe, you know,
You got beat.
and they got a man sent off just before half time, and I was thinking, geez, it's funny how they had a lot of they had decent possession, but never really we were under that much threat, and then you see it and you go, what? Man, have I seen this differently here? You know, you end up, that's the thing that I then end up blowing my brains out, and I end up over-analysing, thinking, have I got this so wrong here? You know what I mean? When other people's opinions, but...
do you watch every game back, full 90?
Aye.
But when do you do it the next day?
Sometime that night, but I think it's always better to do it the very next morning. Aye, so probably early morning, and then if I'm not quite sure, I'll watch it again. Aye, I think you have to, didn't you?
Yeah, and then you showed the players on the Monday.
And then you showed the players obviously a condensed version of the clips you want to show. Because if you're showing them things that you're not certain on, or you're seeing for the first time, man, the 25 guys will see right through you right away. So you need to be sure.
Is it quite surreal coming up against old managers and then obviously old teammates like Brownie at Airdrie? Again, did you speak much to Brown before, during, after?
It's great. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. No, that's a weird thing, right? See, since I started at Airdrie to then move into Brechin, I've felt just now that the kind of management landscape is changed. So when I was at Airdrie in Brechin, the managers would come into each other's office after the game. You'd sit and someone would have a beer or you'd offer them a wine or whatever. And I know that was much the case in decades before. But when I've come in here, everything's changed now. You hardly see them. So you maybe see them when they come in and say hello to them. You'll see them shake hands with them. So guys like Brownie and Lenny and, you know, Barry Robson and guys like that, who were all my teammates, maybe they just don't want to talk to me. But
they all speak to each other, it's just you.
Exactly. But they're Bros boys. Our Bros boys were the only ones that came in. And we sat and chatted away to them. But it's just different. People are, I don't know, maybe just don't want to seem too pally or that. And I've never really chapped anybody else's door when we go away from home. So it's a wee, I don't know. What do you use?
No, we never, mate. No, never.
It's just different now.
It's different. It's strange,
weird.
Isn't it?
Aye.
There's not really that sort of relationship now, is there?
Not really. I mean, when we're doing our press and you sometimes cross paths after it. In fact, sorry, Tony Dock came in.
Oh, good.
Tony, and Doc was Dale's assistant at Bristol. And I was at Dundee United with him and that. So Doc is a great guy. Actually, we sat and had a decent chat. And again, guys like Doc, me picking his brains just about certain things. And he's went into a new role. We have about 300 players at Ross County, and it's a different balance for him. So just actually, he was disappointed that his team had lost the game, but they were good that day. So maybe softened the blow for him, and we chatted for a good 15 minutes. But apart from that, it's few and far between. You
mentioned Airdrie and Brechin there. Do you think part of the reason you're doing well now is the fact that they maybe never went as well as what you'd hoped they would?
Probably. I see, if I'm being honest, I think you've always got to learn as you go along, and I think if you're just continually winning, or I probably think if I had the biggest budget at the clubs and you just go in and get players and you know, plays out in the pitch, I don't know if you learn through your defeats. I do think I took a lot of time to think after, especially after Brechin, and what the club was at that time and how the changeover. Anyway, a lot was going wrong, and I wasn't perfect either. As I said to you, I was just chasing results week to week, COVID happened and, you know, you're trying to manage all, it was just a mess. And I think when I came out of that and been out of it for a while, a good couple of years, then you start watching other teams, you start speaking to people, you start then building a kind of, I don't know, a way that you want to play. I think it served me better anyway. Just that kind of theory of learning to lose sometimes and taking it on the chin and thinking, how can I get better? Why did we lose that game? And I lost a lot at Brechin, you know what I mean?
What teams did you watch, Will, that you liked how they played?
Needless to say, when Celtic are so dominant up here, when Postecoglou came in, I thought it was a breath of fresh air just watching these teams. I hadn't seen much like it. Obviously, I'd seen Pep Guardiola's teams, and you know, especially when Pep went to Bayern Munich, and he changed he just completely changed the way that he played for Barcelona, and he'd started, you know, using inverted fullbacks. But I didn't know or think I could ever translate to the game here.
And then you seen Ange doing it.
I seen Ange doing it, and I'm not being disrespectful, but to a squad of players that wasn't your elite Celtic team, you know. And I was thinking, wow, he's managed to coach that, you know, and I think it's about taking the time. I think that taught me then, you know, if you take the time in the training pitch and you actually take the time with individual players and show them specific positioning on the pitch in relation to the ball, you've always got a chance of making it all click. I don't think I did that in my first two stints. I think I went with formation.
Never coached it?
Never really coached it. Expected players to know where to go.
How to receive it.
How to receive it. The positions to take up the pitch, where I just thought the players should know that. Of course they don't know that because they can't see inside your head. So I think that's where I've probably got better. Look, I've got miles to go in that respect because the game's constantly changing. But I think from then to now, I've certainly got a lot better. And I think clarity of message is key as well. As long as the players or your message is clear to the players, then you've got a chance. So when it gets a bit muddled and they're thinking, we're getting mixed messages here, that you've got problems.
Yeah. You just Celtic in the League Cup early season. How did you find that experience? 4-0 at finish.
I say, to be honest, I didn't enjoy it. I said that right after. I didn't enjoy. I think we were going about our business great, and the week-to-week training was great, and I think the hype that came with the fixture, just, I don't know. It's a weird thing to say. And
did you feel different in the build-up to that game than the other games previously that season?
I did, and I thought, see, because we were going one way in the league and we were playing quite attractive football and we were creating loads of chances, I think then people get a false idea what was going to happen in the game. So you get loads of optimism, and of course that's what I want at the club. I want everybody to be optimistic. There's got to be an element of realism about it as well. And of course I wanted to play in a certain way, and I don't think we quite got there in the first half. It was almost we were waiting for something to happen, and I changed it at half time because I wanted to be more aggressive and pressing. They played through us within 45 seconds and scored the third goal. I think, shit. And then I thought, I just need to take my medicine here. I can't change it again.
See, on that, well, did you change how you'd played in the league for Celtic, or did you just keep it the exact same as how you've been playing in the league?
Kept it the same, or try to keep it the same. Unfortunately, see, when I say mixed messages, so I think with the Celtic game, we were trying to keep as close to what we'd done throughout the season and where we got our success. However, we dropped a few wee bits and pieces about how we press and when to press into the players' heads that maybe then mixed their minds up a wee bit.
Right.
So they slightly came off pressing them until probably, I don't know if you had to watch the game, probably about 40 minutes in, we went really aggressive, and I think Carter Vickers strips out the ball and we get a chance and we almost get in, and it's 2-0 at that point, and you go, you know, if we just started like that, it would have been better. So that was the message at half time. I said, let's just be aggressive. 3 passes and Tanecki's up this side, and you're thinking, But I thought we created, by the way, even when I came away from that and I looked at the second half, we created far more in the second half by pressing a team of their quality higher up the pitch. And I think for the analysis, again, showing the players that's what we drew for it. So again, the whole thing run about it, of course, Celtic weren't in a great place at that time, so there's protests and stuff like that, and it just seemed a bit of an anti-climax.
Were you optimistic you could win the game?
I thought if we started really brightly and really at them and put them under pressure high up the pitch, then we would have gave ourselves a good chance, especially with some of your creative players. But I think for the off, and again, in analysis when we did this, Celtic kicked off and they had maybe about 12 passes and ended up here without any contact for any of our players, and they got a cross into the box and I think maybe a corner kick. And I'm like, we've not done that all season.
Yeah.
So why? I know they're a better team. I know they've got international players, but
you can still press the
we've been there.
Yeah.
Man, if somebody runs at you and puts you under real pressure, no matter you're an international player or not, you're going to force you into doing something. And we just didn't get that quite right. So I was optimistic at the start. I'd given them trouble, but I don't think we landed many punches early in the game. That was a problem.
Yeah, it was a bit made about the length of the grass that day. Did you tell the groundsman take the week off? And did you tell Alex not to cut his hedge that week, is it?
You know what, right? I'm going to throw him under the bus. That was Alex says, I'm throwing him under the bus. Right, Kendall was brilliant. Right, John Kennedy was brilliant. So I was in the office and Celtic had arrived, and somebody came through and went, John Kennedy wants to see you out in the track. So I went out and he's standing at the tunnel just there, a big smile on his face. Oh, how you doing? He said, mate, you should have given me a phone. I says, about what? I thought he wanted tickets. He says, I would have brought my lawnmower up last night if yours was broke. So Alex says, look, we need to slow them down. Can we leave the grass a wee inch longer? And I don't know if it actually hampered us as well, because by the way of the warm-up, we couldn't move the ball. I thought, this is backfired, but they weren't happy.
Amazing.
I didn't slow them down, man.
No, didn't.
4 passes in the second half, they done us. Not wrong with the grass now, is there, Brendan?
Did you speak to Brendan before or after the game?
After the game, I did. He was kind enough to have a chat with me, 10 or so minutes, and just before I got the job, Brian and I, the Glasgow Cup final was here,
right?
And Brendan came to that, and Brian and I came to watch. So we were half time. We got a good chat with him, 10-15 minutes, and you know, it's great. See when you get a guy of that experience and just you're allowed to pick his brains, just there certain wee bits and pieces. But then I was more detailed and more revolving around what he'd just watched. A couple of the home players, of course, and how they were playing. But it was interesting when, after the game, and I was talking about pressing to you there, how he says that was one of his biggest things. When he said to me he was first kind of obsessed with possession of the ball when he was a young coach, but he quickly realised how to evolve, and a lot of his details about how they press teams and how they do it high up the pitch. And it's interesting how football's changed, of course, to that, and it might revert back the other way, but the current trend just now, everybody's pressing high up the pitch, really. And it's gave us real success this season, but it's not always going to be possible to do that. So it was interesting to hear his thoughts on it.
He asked you who done your recruitment.
Who?
Brendan. I touched on your signings for the season. What about players that were here? Cause again, last time I came, I know him quite well. Fitzy wasn't even in the team. I think he was a 3-5-2 and he'd found himself not playing towards the end of last season. How important's he been for you on one side, and also Logan Chalmers on the other, who I think's fucking top?
Listen, the two of them are great, and Logan's performing really well just now. But the thing, when I'd seen the squad and I seen what we had, like last season we had to play that 3-5-2 for a certain reason, you know.
Get Brian in the team.
I get somebody up alongside Brian.
To run a bit.
But you know, we had the 3 centre backs, and Fitzy did. You know, he was frustrated, maybe not performing at his level. But I was quite clear on the way I wanted to play with my 2 wingers, and I knew Fitzy had the attributes, and I knew Logan had it. It was just about, you know, getting them to a level of fitness to do the repeated sprints that you need your wide guys to do if you're going to play the way we do. And I think Fitzy's been great. We look at his data every game, and you see the amount of high speed distance and the sprints and the distance covered, and Logan's off the scale as well. But see when you show them their goal contributions and the goals are scoring, then that's quite often what players want to see.
Yeah.
To help.
But they're only getting that because the fitness sides came as well.
Well, it's a joined up approach, isn't it? They can see the work rate that they do for the team. But they're selfish like anybody else. They want to see their numbers in terms of goals and assists. If you can match the two of them up, then you know you've got top players at this level.
I like your 2 centre backs, O'Reilly and big boy that came from Glenafton.
Big Luke Macbeth.
Like him.
Aye, looks a good guy. Man.
Yeah.
He's great, and it goes to show you mean, that like Chris Doolan, great spot in terms of recruitment.
Glenafton, wasn't it?
Glenafton brought Luke here, played him a bit as a midfielder, and we used him as a number 6 early in the season. And he played against St Johnstone in that game early in the season as a number 6. I probably retired him as a number 6. He's never played again there. But he's a centre back, and Big Luke's great. And Lee Ashcroft, of course, our captain. So experienced guys, you need that throughout the spine of your team. You need that, solidity. I know we're mobile in other areas and there's a bit of flair at the top end, but you need to have a chance when the ball comes in your box, and those 3 centre backs are top notch in it.
I like Stanley as well. He was in.
Aye, good player,
good player, good boy as well, isn't he?
Aye, yes. I mean, he's one that I'm amazed doesn't get a look in at the Scotland 21s, and maybe it's a bit of snobbery in that. And fun enough, I brought this up in a presser the other day to the local press. Seen the guy, Todd from Dunfermline, can't get in the team. He's wrapping up the championship, but because he's not, at Man City Academy or something like that, or Brentford or whoever, he doesn't get a look in. A couple of days later, he got a call up right enough. I don't think they seen my interview. It was just coincidence.
Amazing. And then just your aspirations for the season. Can you catch St Johnstone? Do you set targets?
3 points,
I heard you talk about quarters there. Do you do this thing where you set like a points target for each quarter?
I think. I looked at the history of this division and what it takes to get it. I presented it to the players on day one, what our ambitions were, what the points kind of tally was in an overall collective of what you should be aiming for, in terms of goals for, against, and all that stuff. We're right on track just now in terms of what we're putting out there. I think even then when I'm looking back on it, there is points we've left out there. Morton here, but Morton away was probably one of our best performances this season. But you need a last minute equaliser to get you a point. So we're right on track. The next couple of games is going to be crucial because we've got St Johnstone here next Saturday. We've got Dunfermline on the Tuesday. They're big games, and Dunfermline going well just now as well under Neil. But St Johnstone are the team to beat. I think when you retain a lot of the players for the level above, and then you add some good ones to it, and you keep everybody fit, they're a tough nut to crack. And I think Simo's got them playing some good stuff. They're good to watch as well. So it's going to be key that we perform a lot better than we did in the first day of the season here. And it's a real opportunity for the players to put things right. But again, if you lose, it's important not to throw all the ideas away that you've worked, 8 months, or 6 months when I got in at the job. So consistency, mate, is key. If we keep the ideas in the right place, and we keep the belief in amongst the squad, of course we can keep up there. But the squad's important, budget's important. I keep going on about budget. We haven't got the biggest budget. I think that's
you couldn't put the fucking heating on, it's freezing, man.
Mate, it's freezing. My hands are Baltic in here as well, by the way. But we haven't got the budget St Johnstone or Ross County or Dunfermline or that. I know from the outside it might look like it, but we've shopped smartly.
Smart.
Aye, we've shopped smart, and even our loan guys and certain things that we've managed today, we've been fortunate. So you need to keep all them fit, because January is a crucial month. So if we can keep the pace, brilliant.
It's such a tough league though, man. You look at Ross County, who have kept a lot of their players for the league above, and they're really struggling, aren't they?
Well, that's that. You look at Ross County, but you look at us last week. I said to the guys before the game, I said last season when we went to Airdrie, and funny enough, by the way, I had one manager in month. You were just in as well, and we went to Airdrie, and I said this will be your toughest game, and we got beat 2-1. And I said the same again last Friday. I said, in theory, this will be one of our toughest games, because Danny's lost his job, and there's that relaxed nature about them. There's nothing to lose. They'll come at you, they'll be right in your faces, and it proved that way. And we struggled, and it took a last minute, bit of luck to get us in for the game. So in this league, mate, if you are not at your best, you will be done by any one of the teams in this division. And that's why it's so good to watch, by the way. And I'd probably see when I was in Superscoreboard, and I probably never gave this league enough attention, because you're purely focused in the Premiership, because that's what put to you on a Saturday night on Sportscene and that. And this league, man, there's some good games in it. Even like St Johnstone Dunfermline last week. What a game it was. And as long as we keep churning performances like we have it, and keeping our fans happy, and being good to watch, I think we'll produce more positive results than negative ones.
That is a great club as well. I brought my boys here quite a lot to watch
great.
Thistle.
Aye.
It's
It's great.
a big
By the
club.
way, in terms of
So close at Ross County year to getting up, weren't they? I really wanted them to do it that year. They were
well,
good in
that
the
was
playoffs.
the signal, and I think that's the black cloud that's kind of hung over Partick Thistle for a couple of years. Anybody, I think they've got PTSD. And I mean, even the staff members, the volunteers, the fans, they all just want to lift that off them. And
So do you need to change that as well as a management? Do you need to kind of change that whole mentality around the club? Is that tough?
You need to try, aye. But you need something that's good to watch on the pitch.
Yeah.
Then you need something that yields positive results, and then slowly but surely things start to turn and you get that wee bit of optimism, and then you come up against Celtic, you get scalped and the optimism goes back down. You need to try and build it again. But like, as long as we keep ticking along nicely, and then you get to Christmas in January and the window opens and you see what business you can do, I think then you start honing in on April and May. But we know we have a big job. I think we've approached it well to now, but anything can happen in this division if you're not on it, and the boys are well aware of that now.
Well, thanks so much. Great to see you down well, mate.
Cheers, mate.
What a
Thank
guy.
you.
Thank you.
Cheers.